Hello, I'm Digitalisation from Global Loyalty Organization, and I am at the Arabian Travel Market in Dubai. And it's a pleasure to talk to David Garner, Vice President Commercial for Middle East and Africa for Minor Hotel Group today. Hello, David.
Hi, thanks very much for having me here today, and it's a great pleasure. As Minor Hotels, we have over 530 hotels worldwide, across 65 countries, across 8 distinct hotel brands. So I'm pleased to be here with you today.
Thank you, David. David, 2023 has been a very strong year for the hospitality sector. People are talking of revenge travel coming back after 2 years of being locked up. How has the year been so far for your hotel group?
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about revenge tourism, because really in the Middle East, we're only in lockdown for 6 weeks in the UAE. So really, the last few years have been some of our record-breaking years for us from a revenue and commercial background. And we've seen this trend continue into 2023. I think the main impact in 2023 for us in our regions is that other global destinations have started to recover very well. I mean, we're very strong in Asia, and we've seen a very strong recovery into Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, Cambodia, where we're very strongly presented with our brands. But in the Middle East and Africa, we've seen a sustained growth. I think there's obviously some global trends at the moment which are impacting us. There's still a lack of flight availability and into a number of key destinations for us. So we hope that the airlines can continue to expand on those route networks, because there is such high demand for travel into multiple places.
You mentioned the lack of flight availability, and that leads me to the next question about what challenges have you encountered this year, and what challenges are you foreseeing for the rest of 23 and potentially 24?
Sure. Well, I think you've got to look at different markets, right? And different markets have different strengths. A lot of the Western European markets has had some impact this year due to inflationary pressures, cost of living in those areas. But we're still seeing good trends from those customers coming to our properties. Some of them are becoming more experience-led. Some of them are becoming more conscious of what their programs are going to include, cost value. So for us, it's not about cutting costs. It's actually creating better value for the customers in our resorts and or with our properties in our cities. And we've managed to do that by being very innovative in what we bring in and certain activities, and where we manage the actual guests, their journey through our actual properties. But we are impacted in some destinations by lack of flight availability. You take destinations like Oman, where we have 3 properties. We need more flights, international flights from overseas going into those countries. And if you talk to some of the major carriers like Emirates, their fleet is only at 80% on capacity still, as they bring back the A380s more, but they need many more staff to be able to run those flights and cabin crew, etc. But you can see that with the pricing, again, with some of the airlines at the moment. But I think in general, the recovery has been pretty strong across all destinations. And you look at that with other markets that are about to really impact again the international travel, markets like China. With the opening up of the travel outbound from China, I think for our region, or my region in the Middle East and Africa, we will see a very strong demand in Q3 and Q4 from the Chinese market as well.
And in terms of the customer demands, you touched upon that customers have become more demanding in what they're expecting from you as a hospitality provider. How have you used your loyalty program, GHA Discovery, to address those new customer demands and also improve customer experience?
So the GHA, the Global Hotel Alliance, which we're very proud to be a member of, they very wisely in the pandemic period, they reviewed how we run the actual business, what benefits we're giving to our guests, our loyal guests, because the GHA in the end is an organisation that has multiple companies, multiple hotel brands, which are all part of it. So the benefit of it is the ability to cross-sell intra-brand and across multiple brands which are in different markets of the world. If you look at the US market, right, we do not have a large footprint in the US market for property operational, but the ability of those GHA partners to then influence their guests to come and stay in the minor hotel brands is very strong. So the GHA program turned into the Discovery Dollars program at the end of last year, and that changed from being a benefits program to a rewards program. So our guests in our properties now will earn dollars for which they can then use for future stays or redemptions in the resorts for F&B, spa, activities, etc. So it allows us to offer a higher level of rewards for our ISHA members, and it gives them the flexibility to actually use those, whether or not they want to use them for business or leisure or whatever purpose of their travel for the future.
As you say, you were part of the launch of the Discovery Dollars, and if you look back in the last year, has it actually met your expectations, and were there any surprises for you?
No, we've seen it as nothing but a benefit for us, really, because we can use it for our corporate guests, leisure guests. There's no difference to it, really. Apart from it's what the consumer wants. The consumer has been wanting more rewards-led programs which they can use for their own benefit, either within their stay. Could be that check-in, they say, oh, please use my Discovery Dollars I've got and offset it against the cost of my room or the cost of the food and beverage or that they have in extra properties. So I think the involvement of the Discovery program has been very important for us, and we've seen a very good interest from our consumer base.
And I believe you're involved in the pilot program of Discovery Dollars being able to spend at your properties without having to stay. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about it?
Sure. So when the Discovery Dollars was launched last year, it has to be launched in phases, right? So the phase that's coming towards the end of this year will be the ability to earn and burn your Discovery Dollars whilst you're within the property, whether you're staying in the property or you're an outside guest who's coming to use the facilities or restaurants. And we are happy to pilot that program here in the Middle East and with the Anantara on the Palm Jumeirah.
And what's next? Do you have any other plans to roll it out in the future?
Well, I think just the expansion of the plan rewards benefits over the next multiple months. But for me, it's a strong program already. We have tens of thousands of members, millions of members on a global basis. And for us, the real heart of the GHA is the cross-brand selling benefits that we have. So us being visible and likewise other GHA partners being visible to our customers as well.
And let's talk about sustainability. It is the topic of Arabian Travel Market Dubai as well. And I believe it's a topic which is also very close to your heart since you were part of the launch of Green Collection. So can you tell us a little bit more about Minor Hotel Group's efforts in sustainability and your properties within the Green Collection and your plans to roll it out in the future?
Sure. Well, our properties are very driven at the heart with sustainability support. In particular, the Anantara brand is the heart of our DNA. And we work with external partners such as Green Globe in the past, etc., to get our properties rated on ways that we can be more proactive in our efficiencies and our sustainable programs that we actually do. We're one of the first companies in the Middle East to bring in plastic-free water within multiple of our properties. We have our own bottling plants, even in properties like ours, which are located in the middle of the Liwa Desert, to properties on the Palm, right? Because it cuts down on the one-time use plastics being used, and that saves millions and millions of plastic plastics every year. To programs that we're doing with the wildlife and conservation, our elephant camps in Thailand, our conservation reserve that we have here in Sabanis Island in Abu Dhabi. Beach cleanup campaigns, we're very involved with it from a whole level. Analysing food wastage. We actually weigh and measure our food wastage every day as well. to see how ways that we can minimise wastage. So you're feeding back into the food chains, the supplier chain, and in the end becoming more environmentally aware and sustainable in an actual approach.
So it sounds like sustainability, so you're doing good for the community, for the climate,
Yes.
but also it must be helping your bottom line as well, because you're saving on wastage, you're saving on fuel costs, for example, with your plants, having the proximity.
Yes. I mean, obviously, we have to invest in these programs for them to fulfill. The long-term objective is that you are becoming more environmentally aware. We are passing this on to our consumers, to our guests and our consumers. We're educating them in the whole process of it. Do they want their linen changed every day? Do they want fresh towels every day? The options are given to the actual guests to say that. Yes, it might create some savings also for the property, and that is a benefit. But it's more about the approach that we have, because there are guests out there who demand this. Right? They want the hotels to be responsible. They want to see that is green certified. They're making a conscious decision in their purchasing chain to select properties who do act in this way.
Yeah. And especially with the younger generation, that they have become much more conscious on the sustainability issues. So it's addressing those will definitely help you as a business as well to attract and keep loyal customers.
I think it's important the way we also communicate with all of these different generations. Right? What is our approach? Are we talking it through social media, through press? How we're pushing it through our own websites? How we're pushing that on our trade partners as well, who are also sending guests to us. So I think it's important that we actually get the communication right on it.
And you talked about communication. Another topic which was actually much more in the forefront since the corona lockdowns, etc., as well, were the digitalisation and also emotional loyalty. Now, this year especially, the rise of AI, ChatGPT, the smart travel programs, for example, which help the customers' choice when they choose programs, etc. What have you experienced in your journey in regards to technology?
Technology evolves every month. There is a different way to do business, but technology gives us the ability to manage our business better. It allows us to distribute our product and our pricing on a global basis seamlessly. It helps the clients and the end guest with price stability, price parity. They can go to our site and they know they're not going to be undercut by third-party sites, etc. So I think that the digital side from a marketing perspective has actually grown. We can get our communication out to millions of people with a press of a button. So the historic paper-led print, etc. still has a place, but it's nowhere near to the volume that we used to do it at as we become more and more digital in our approach. The management of social media is imperative, and how we manage that on a daily basis. And I think with the growth of ChatGPT and other platforms, we have to be very aware of it. We have to embrace it as well.
So you see this as an opportunity for your company,
Yes.
implementing it more in the future as well?
Yes. Why not? A consumer will be able to potentially go on these platforms and ask, I want to go on a holiday to 2 weeks to Dubai, plan it for me. And theoretically, they'll be able to get a full itinerary with flight times, availability, hotel selections. So we have to be very aware of it, which is why we're continuing with our e-commerce and distribution team, looking at how we do our search engine marketing, our optimization of sites, how we're communicating, our pay-per-click programs, return on advertising spend through the digital channels. I think it all has to be integrated with our social media and communication and influence these systems so that we're at the forefront of everybody's mind.
And David, since you're based in the UAE and you're responsible for minor groups, Middle East and Africa business, how would you say that the loyalty in the Middle East differentiates itself from loyalty, let's say, in the US, in Europe, or in Australia, or in Asia?
think there are massive differences because the UAE and the Middle East is such a global market, right? Remember, most of our business is people travelling from Europe, Americas, Asia, etc. So these are global travellers. So I don't think you could specifically say that the Middle East market is necessarily different. Everybody is online these days. Everybody has apps. Everybody is highly connected. So I think it's a pretty much a level playing field out there. I think that the Middle East markets have, the Middle East outbound market is a different market, right? And they have certain destinations that they prioritise over others, and there's different ways of attracting them. So we actually change our campaigns and our models and how we get more business into our hotels. And we often do that by different segments, different nationality groups, and we tailor make it.
Okay, interesting. That's true. I mean, the Middle East is like an amalgamation of all different.
It's a global hub.
Yes, it is. It is. And so, if you were to make one prediction for 2024 for your company, but also for the loyalty program and your Discovery Dollars, what would it be?
I believe that 2024 will see a sustained growth in international travel. I think that people become more and more adventurous in destinations that they want to actually travel to. I think loyalty will continue to grow and be a benefit. I think it will be seen as a high growth curve in that area. And we want those customers, right? If those customers are engaged with our brands, they feel an affinity with us. They want to stay with us. So the stronger our loyalty and brand program is, the more business that we're going to get direct into our own channels, through our own brand.com as well, gha.com as an example. And we want to own those customers and for them to ensure that each time that they travel, they think of Minor Hotels and think of GHA.
Amazing. Well, thank you. This concludes sort of the serious part of our interview. It is a tradition with Global Wealth Organization to ask two more personal, more fun questions.
Go on then.
If you had a magic wand and you could invent any customer experience, loyalty feature you could, which one would you invent?
A magic wand to create a global loyalty.
Any feature you want. Any.
That's a wonderful question, that is. I think it would be a way that you can, with a touch of magic wand, create that experiential itinerary for the customer that is going to separate us out from anybody else. We talk about experiences already in all of our properties, but to have the IQ knowledge, maybe ChatGPT is going to give that on profiling of people in the future. But the ability for that to match into exactly which of our 530 hotels and resorts worldwide is perfectly matched for that customer based on their mental or profile that we actually have.
And create a perfect itinerary for their stay.
Seamless itinerary from A to Z.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
The next one is, so if you have 1 million Discovery Dollars, how would you spend them?
How would I spend them?
Yes.
I'd be looking at a worldwide tour. I would go to some of the most interesting, most experience-led destinations that we have. Places like the Royal Livingston and Antara Hotel on Victoria Falls, where you have both Victoria Falls and I've looked at the video right now. You have the falls and the wildlife around you there. Next thing you're in Thailand, in a bubble in northern Thailand, a night under the stars with the elephants around you, followed by obviously a luxury holiday into the Maldives, into the Pihava where we have a fabulous underwater restaurant, then possibly into Europe, into the Amalfi Coast where Antara has just been rebranded. And then I could go on and on and on, right? I mean, I would build myself a worldwide tour.
Sounds amazing. Can you count me in, please?
Oh, once you've got $1 million Discovery Dollars, you're very welcome.
Now the last question. So, having worked with Minor Hotels and also having experienced the launch of the Discovery Dollars and being part of the loyalty program. If you were able to give your younger self who's starting in this industry a piece of advice, what would that be?
Ensure that you're digitally savvy, because e-commerce and social media and that whole area of our business is such a growth area, it has such buying power these days. I'm talking that from myself because I'm a commercially focused hotelier. So you're not just a salesperson or a revenue person or an e-commerce or a distribution or a PR person, marketing person. You're a commercial leader these days. You have to have knowledge of all of these areas to really drive benefit to our businesses. So I would say to the young people coming in the industry, you need to be very tech savvy these days, because the digital and tech side of our business is such a large portion of our revenue streams.
This wraps up our interview today, David. Thank you very much for a very, very interesting interview and giving us an insight about Minor Hotel Group and your efforts in sustainability and loyalty. And it would be great to meet you again, same place next year, and do another interview with you.
Well, it's a great pleasure to meet you, and thank you for this opportunity, and looking forward to seeing you in 2024.
Thank you.